Hello, my kindred friend. I invite you to find a truly quiet corner and relax your entire body as we begin a conversation from the very depths of the soul. Perhaps at this moment, you are sitting alone in an empty room, listening to the pulse of silence pervading the space around you. If you are living alone and sometimes feel your heart heavy with unspoken loneliness, or feel as though the noisy world outside has forgotten you, please let me sit here beside you right now. Society often teaches us that happiness only exists with the recognition of others. But have you ever wondered what profound lesson about existence this absolute silence is trying to teach us? Living alone is absolutely not a sentence of destiny or a failure of a human life. In fact, it is a great inner journey where you truly meet the most important person in your life for the first time, yourself. In the sacred wisdom of the Buddha, solitude is not a frightening isolation, but a precious opportunity to light the lamp of wisdom and return to the peaceful harbor of your own steadfast self-island. The world-honored one is the wise guide who showed us that when our minds are sufficiently still and tolerant, whether alone in a deep cave or amidst a bustling city, we still find ourselves completely whole and radiant. Today's video from Daily Dharma Light will explore with you 10 transformative steps to turn solitude into strength and eternal peace. If you feel your soul resonating with these whispers of awakening, I invite you to gently sow a seed of merit by subscribing to the channel so we can continue to accompany each other on this miraculous path of healing. Breathe deeply and let your heart open to begin the journey back to yourself right now. Accepting silence and transforming fear into the language of the soul. Imagine you have just stepped into your home after a long, tiring day amidst the rushing crowds. The moment you close the door, the city's noise suddenly recedes, making way for a silence so deep you can clearly hear the ticking of the wall clock or the echo of your own breath in the empty space. For many, that silence feels like a terrifying abyss, causing them to rush to turn on the TV, play music, or scroll through their phones to fill the vast void. But my dear friend, I invite you to see this silence through a completely different lens. Regard it as the most pristine white page that the universe has just gifted specifically to you, so you can begin writing upon it the authentic emotions that have long been obscured by the world's clamor. The Buddha taught us about the middle way, which means not indulging fear to the point of running away, yet not forcing yourself to immediately become an enlightened Zen master to love solitude. Accepting silence is learning how to stay with reality without any external interference or distraction. Instead of viewing an evening alone as loneliness, transform it into a ritual of self-respect. A dinner for one does not have to be a rushed affair. Set the table neatly. Admire the vibrant colors of the vegetables. Feel the warmth of the rice bowl. And understand that you are nourishing the temple of your body with the utmost care and appreciation. As the evening shadows fall and the day's last rays fade on the wall, instead of escaping into a virtual world, try sitting quietly by the window and observing the transition from light to darkness. Feel the coolness of the night, gently soothing your weary soul after hours of diligent work. A weekend without a single appointment is absolutely not a painful abandonment. It is a sacred privilege to be friends with yourself, to listen to the whispers of your heart that you accidentally ignored or forgot in the daily struggle for survival. Mindfulness in the smallest actions, from brewing a hot cup of tea to slowly folding each crease of a shirt, is how you practice self-love. When you learn to smile at silence, you will realize that your truest soulmate, the one who always understands and never leaves you, is the complete essence present right here and now. When silence is no longer an enemy, it becomes a wise teacher, leading you deep into the sky of inner peace, where you need not prove anything to anyone yet still find yourself truly whole and shining brilliantly from your own soul. facing loneliness and the awakening of the compassionate heart. There is a silent truth we often try to evade, the feeling of loneliness that suddenly surrounds us when we are alone. It is like a solitary ghost lurking in every corner of the soul, waiting to appear most clearly in the stillness of late night or the empty sadness of a rainy afternoon. But my dear friend, I invite you to quiet your heart to understand a profound wisdom. Loneliness is a universal experience of human existence, and absolutely not evidence of being rejected or inferior to others. The Buddha taught us about impermanence, anicca, where every feeling, whether acute pain or radiant happiness, is merely a temporary wave coming and going on the vast ocean of consciousness. Therefore, the solitude you are enduring is no exception to this law. It arises when conditions meet and will surely vanish when you learn to face it with the most still and tolerant heart. Instead of trying to dispel that coldness with superficial pleasures or pointless conversations to escape yourself, I invite you to perform a most courageous act. Sit back and look directly at your loneliness as if looking at a wise teacher, patiently teaching you the lesson of self-freedom. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and begin to observe where that sadness is actually residing in your physical form. Is it a painful tightening in the chest, or a chilling emptiness deep in the abdomen? When you dare to be present with the pain without judgment or resentment, miraculously, you will find it no longer has the power to control you as before. Because darkness only has power when we are busy fleeing the light of mindful awareness. In this profound moment, begin practicing the watering of your parched inner soil with the energy of unconditional compassion. Gently whisper to your own soul wholesome aspirations. May I be peaceful. May I be liberated from suppressed gloom, and may I love and cherish myself exactly as I am. Every time your mind begins to overflow with self-love, the void of loneliness will automatically be filled with the warmth of awakening, helping you realize you have never truly been alone, because the entire vast universe is still silently supporting and protecting your every breath. Understand deeply that true connection between people does not lie in geographic distance or the number of people surrounding you. It lies in the very vibration of the heart. Even living alone, you can still find a sacred spiritual community by practicing kindness and compassion toward everything around you. A branch of flowers you devotedly care for, a painting you create with your whole soul, or a sincere prayer sent to suffering beings, are all invisible bridges connecting you to the vast network of life out there. When you know how to transform loneliness into a space for creativity and silent contribution, you will find yourself becoming incredibly strong because you are no longer a victim of solitary circumstances, but have truly become the master of the most complete peace amidst this volatile world. The art of self-mastery and steadfastness at the Self-Island. The Buddha once reminded us of a profound wisdom. Be a lamp unto yourself, and take refuge in the steadfast self-island. Learning to live alone is actually the process of training to become a most autonomous and complete entity, without having to lean on any fragile support from the volatile outside world. Self-mastery is absolutely not a list of dry life skills or the burden of forcing yourself to perfect everything. It is the highest expression of self-love when you know how to light the warm fire in your small kitchen and how to arrange the material flows around you rhythmically and mindfully. When you prepare a simple meal with full attention and gratitude, or when you manage personal resources with clear and transparent wisdom, you are truly caring for your own long-term peace instead of leaving your life to the whims of external chance. Every act of self-care, no matter how small, carries a sacred message to every cell that you deserve to be cherished and that you are capable of creating your own happiness in the present moment. We also need to deeply understand the truth of the middle way, where resilient independence is completely different from the cold isolation of a soul intentionally closing its heart. Living mindfully and autonomously is when you have the inner strength to stand on your own 2 feet, yet remain willing to open your arms to receive and give love when conditions meet. Independence helps you remove the burden of demand and acute expectations toward others, thereby making every relationship around you suddenly lighter than ever, because you have truly found the most radiant source of self-joy from within. Patiently learn to master every pulse of daily life with a compassionate heart and devoted hands. For when you have become the safest harbor for your own soul, the world outside, no matter how stormy, cannot diminish your steadfastness and radiance. Mastering your own life is the most sacred ritual to assert your dignity and find true freedom in this turbulent world. Discovering inner peace and the art of being still with oneself. Imagine your soul as a steadfast house in the middle of a dark, stormy night. Despite the violent winds howling and lightning streaking across the sky, if you know how to close the doors tight and light a warm candle inside your chest, the chaos outside will never be able to touch your silence. True peace is absolutely not a gift brought by favorable circumstances. It is the result of choosing to react gently to life's murky ups and downs. The Buddha taught us that peace has always been there, right beneath the dust of calculated worries, and you only need to learn how to let all agitations settle. I invite you to perform a small spiritual exercise right now to feel that sacred presence. Close your eyes for a few seconds, completely relax your shoulders, and whisper to every one of your cells an affirmation. At this moment, I am completely okay. Imagine every negative thought or worry about tomorrow as mere clouds floating across the deep blue sky of your consciousness. Clouds may be black and thick, but the vast sky behind them is never stained or broken by the passing clouds. Your job is simply to remain in the position of a tolerant observer, watching the clouds come and go without needing to hold on to or chase anything away. Deepest healing often sprouts from the simplest actions in daily life. When you know how to bring mindfulness into every sip of water you drink or every fold of clothing you set aside with total care. Understand profoundly that the tragedy of exhaustion often stems from being preoccupied with living according to the gaze and strict standards of the world. We strive to build a perfect portrait to please others, unintentionally letting our inner garden become withered and filled with the trash of self-deception. Living alone is the sacred privilege to officially escape the chains of judgment and begin creating a pure living space where breath and nature are the only soulmates leading you back to your inherent radiant essence. Just a wild flower you place on the table or a patch of morning sunlight you silently receive on the porch is enough for your nervous system to be soothed and completely protected in this silent darkness. When you learn to converse gently with yourself and truly cherish the stillness of private space, miraculously, you will find yourself immutable before the world's winds of praise. Blame honor or disgrace, because you have truly found the most serene harbor right within your heart. Do not chase phantoms of happiness afar, for the most complete peace always exists in your very ability to stay still with yourself and smile at the infinite silence of the soul in this present moment. Maturing through change and the ability to adapt gently. Observe the weeping willow branches by the lake shore or the old bamboo thickets in the garden corner after a violent storm. You will realize a sacred secret of life. The power of survival absolutely does not lie in rigidity or fierce resistance, but in flexibility and the ability to bend with the wind to protect your own lush soul. Many of us view sudden changes in circumstances or unexpected events as cruel disasters seeking to crush our lives. But my dear friend, please quiet your heart to understand a poignant wisdom. all change actually carries a hidden message of the deepest transformation and growth. The Buddha constantly reminded us of the law of impermanence, anicca, where everything is constantly moving and changing in every present moment. Therefore, solitary living is actually an extremely fertile environment for you to train your inner resilience and the soul's most miraculous adaptability. Instead of spending energy agonizing over what is lost or fearing what is yet to come, I invite you to learn to see every difficulty as a precious opportunity to peel away the tired, old shells of the ego and find the fresh vitality waiting to rise from deep within your roots. Maturing through change means knowing how to smile and receive both the radiant hot sun and the lonely cold winter nights. You learn to rely on the softness of consciousness to walk through life's rapids in the most leisurely and still manner. True steadfastness is absolutely not about never feeling trembling or weak before the storms of destiny. It is when you know how to bend flexibly like a branch before the wind and then stand tall, dignified, and more radiant than ever under the dawn of new awareness. However, in that journey of self-reliance, I also want to send you a sacred reminder about humility. Sometimes the most powerful action of an awakened soul is daring to admit one's limits and being willing to open one's heart to receive support from the wholesome world around. Understanding when to stand firm on your own feet and when to seek a refuge of kinship is the pinnacle of balance and wisdom, helping you never break or shatter under the overwhelming pressures of the murky world. Once you have mastered the art of adaptation, every change will no longer be a weary burden, but will truly become the steps bringing you toward the completeness and eternal freedom of your own soul. Nourishing conscious connections and harmony between the spiritual and the secular. Imagine your soul as a slender thread weaving into the great tapestry of human life. Choosing a quiet living style absolutely does not mean you are severing all sacred ties with the world, or choosing to become a parched oasis in a vast ocean. There is a common misconception that living alone is an act of rejecting society, but in the profound wisdom of the Buddha, a truly steadfast soul knows how to rely on itself, yet remains willing to open the doors of compassion to receive warmth from wholesome connections around. Conscious connection is learning how to filter and keep soulmates near, where each other's presence brings peaceful energy and deep empathy instead of the noisy but hollow gatherings of the past. You can entirely find your own spiritual community or sangha through shared interest groups such as contemplating a good book together or devotedly caring for a small garden, where like-minded souls can resonate with radiant stillness and support each other on the awakening journey. Even in this era of virtual connections, learn to use technology as a sacred medium to send affectionate inquiries or peaceful messages to loved ones instead of letting yourself be swept away by the vortex of wearying, distracting information. Most beautiful is when you dare to step outside to perform silent acts of contribution, such as participating in volunteer activities or simply helping a stranger in difficulty on your daily path. That act of giving is the most miraculous medicine to dissolve the feeling of isolation and help you recognize the tight interdependence between yourself and all species around. The perfect balance, according to the middle way, is knowing how to cherish moments alone to enrich the inner self, while simultaneously cherishing moments of connection to warm your heart. When you live alone with an open and loving mindset, you will see you have never truly been alone, because this whole world is always a part of the breath and pulse within you. Maintaining mindful relationships is the way you protect the inner candle of peace to always shine clearly amidst this ever-changing life. Enjoying personal freedom and the journey of living fully. Imagine you are a great bird of the forest, spreading your wings in a vast, borderless sky, where every wind and every cloud are friends, guiding your own freedom. Learning to live alone is the moment you courageously declare sovereignty over your own happiness and the most sacred freedom of your life. Living alone is absolutely not a deficiency. It is a great opportunity to live most fully when no longer constrained by the patterns or acute expectations of anyone else. This is when you are handed back the supreme power to choose your own rhythm of life, from when you want to wake up to how you want to prepare a simple meal in the gentle stillness of the soul. In the wisdom of healing, solitude is a sacred laboratory where you can shed all the weary masks of social interaction to truly discover who you are behind the narrow names and identities of the world. You can spend hours immersed in an old book, or quietly watering a newly sprouted seedling without worrying about the gaze or judgment of anyone. In that empty space, passions and interests, long buried by the dust of responsibility, suddenly rise, radiant and vivid. When you live true to your inner core values and act according to the guidance of your heart, you are truly building a steadfast pedestal for long-term peace without needing to chase any phantoms from afar. The Buddha constantly reminded us that true freedom arises from the ability to let go of dependence on external factors to return to refuge in one's own sacred essence. Living fully alone is when you recognize the beauty in every breath and the miracle in every step present in this murky world. Cherish this privilege as a priceless gift from the universe, allowing you to complete the portrait of your soul with colors of peace and the truest self-respect. When you have found freedom within your own quiet space, the world outside, no matter how noisy, will only enhance the grandeur and steadfastness of the inner lighthouse of peace. Embracing personal freedom is how you affirm that this life is truly worth living when we get to be ourselves in infinite stillness. Nourishing the contented mind and self-sufficiency in silence. Look at an empty bowl sitting on the wooden table where you sit quietly alone tonight. At first glance, the world might see it as an expression of emptiness or lack, but under the light of Buddhist wisdom, that bowl actually contains the entire vastness of the void and its own completeness. The eighth rule brings us back to the core of peace named santuthi, contentment, the power of knowing enough and the sense of freedom within the simplest things of life without needing to chase fleeting illusions afar. Living alone is the most fertile ground to nourish this seed, for when there are no distractions from comparisons or acute expectations from others, you begin to realize that everything you need to be happy has actually been present within this physical form and consciousness all along. Gratitude is the first bridge leading you into the space of abundance. Instead of counting what you lack, I invite you to practice naming the small blessings that are silently supporting your life daily. It could be the warmth of a fragrant cup of tea spreading in your palms during a cold winter afternoon, the gentle pulse of the heart still working tirelessly for you, or simply the quiet of the room helping you truly hear the whispered voice of your soul. When you cherish these simple things, you send a signal to your entire nervous system that I am safe and I am truly wealthy in this very moment. This feeling of contentment is the most powerful healing medicine to dissolve all gloom and the complexes of weary loneliness. Hand in hand with gratitude is the art of simplifying life from the outside in, courageously shedding unnecessary items or hollow social relationships does not impoverish your life. On the contrary, it expands the space for the most powerful rebirth to occur. When the living space becomes airy and the mind has fewer distractions of acute possession, you will find your breath lighter and your eyes looking at life more clearly. Practice being with your body as with a long-lost soulmate. Instead of forcing yourself to achieve this or that success, gift yourself an unconditional tenderness in every daily thought. I invite you to courageously stop playing the role of the strict judge, always self-judging and agonizing over old mistakes. Instead, become a gentle mother, always ready to embrace the weary child that is your soul. Whenever you feel your heart wavering or sadness suddenly arriving, gently tell your consciousness that it's okay. Everything is happening according to its rhythm, and I accept myself exactly as I am. When you learn to be friends with solitude and treat yourself with all self-tolerance, miraculously, you will find the world outside, no matter how chaotic, can no longer muddy the flat lake of your consciousness. Complete peace does not come from having everything. It sprouts from the ability to let go of all chasing, to feel the radiant beauty of the now, existing fully within your reach. The spiritual journey and the opening of inner light. Imagine your soul as a small oil lamp silently emitting a stream of warm and pristine light in the middle of this quiet room. Choosing to live alone is the moment you courageously light that lamp to begin the deepest pilgrimage into the furthest corners of consciousness. In the wisdom of healing, spiritual life is absolutely not distant. Religious rituals or mysteries hard to touch. It is the process of sharpening mindfulness and compassion through the simplest daily practices. Meditation at this time is no longer a weary exercise. It becomes a sacred appointment where you truly listen to the pulse of life and feel the interdependent connection with the entire vast universe. When you sit still alone, you will notice nature outside, from a wild flower to a cool breeze, is silently teaching you the lesson of impermanence and complete letting go. Spending time to read a sage's book, learning a good Dharma lesson, and then patiently bringing those things into every breath is how you nourish your flower of wisdom to bloom every day. The most beautiful part of the spiritual journey is when you understand that true love does not need a specific object nearby to arise. Even living alone, you can still practice service and kindness through wholesome intentions sent to all beings and silent acts of help for the murky world out there. That wordless kindness is the most powerful energy helping you transcend the narrow ego and touch the vast freedom of an awakened soul. You need to understand that enlightenment is absolutely not a glorious destination at the end of the road. It is the quality of every mindful step you take right at this moment. When you view every challenge as an opportunity to practice, and every solitary minute as a gift of awareness, miraculously, you will find your life becoming a vivid Dharma lesson, full of light and infinite compassion. Your spiritual journey does not need the crowd's applause. It only needs the heart's sincerity toward yourself in this wordless silence. Our leisurely walk through the 10 steps of wisdom is now slowly reaching its final notes, like a gentle sunset descending to make way for the complete rest of your soul. I hope you will quiet your heart to realize a miraculous truth. Even if you are alone in a dark room right now, you have never truly been alone in this world. Your every breath harmonizes with the pulse of the universe, and your every silence is enveloped by the unconditional love of the sages who came before. Learning to live alone is how you light the lighthouse of self-freedom to guide yourself and become a silent inspiration for countless souls out there, also seeking a serene harbor. If tonight's journey brought you a little warmth and helped you love your own solitude more, I am honored to invite you to sow a seed of merit by subscribing to the Daily Dharma Light channel and liking the video so we always have the opportunity to sit together as soulmates on the path of awakening. To truly seal this piece into the deep layers of the subconscious, I invite you to perform a final confirmation ritual by leaving a sincere comment about your feelings now, or simply a blessing of peace for all beings around. Your presence and mindfulness are a priceless gift, helping spread healing energy to every corner of the murky world. Now, all effort has truly ended, I wish you a night of great peace in the absolute freedom of the soul. Peace in body and mind. Goodbye. And see you in the next healing journeys.